Hello, I'm Liz Sly and I'm here to give you 6 tips and 1 piece of advice about working as an international correspondent, or foreign correspondent as we used to call it. Number 1, read. Read everything you can about the country you're in now, but don't forget the history. You won't be able to give context and meaning to your stories about what's happening now if you don't know what happened before you got there. Read the fiction. You will absorb so much about the culture. And read about the rest of the world. You won't be able to give context or spot storylines if you don't know what's happening everywhere else. Number 2, write. Write whenever you can about everything you see and what you're experiencing. Things that don't seem important now might acquire a relevance later on that will give you a storyline or information for or details for a story you're writing. And don't forget to read the publication you're about to write for if you're freelance and writing for different publications. You need to know whether their style is newsy, literary, narrative, that kind of thing. A story for a news outlet, for example, might not be best to start out with a long personal anecdote. Number 3, acquire a range of skills. You might think of yourself as a video journalist first, a photographer first, a writer first, but these days news outlets do expect you to do all of those things, and you will get more work if you can. Don't worry if you actually want to focus on your strongest point, but do learn some proficiency in the other points. Number 4, learn to talk to strangers. You will get some of your best stories from meeting ordinary people and gathering their stories. This might seem obvious, but I've been surprised often by how shy young journalists are to talk to strangers until I remember how intimidated I was to do that when I first started out. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself. Be very transparent that you're a journalist and say who you're working for and what it is you want to talk to them about and why. Start with the simplest questions. And if people are reluctant to talk to you, don't press them. Nobody's obliged to talk to you. Just thank them politely and move on. And 1 word of caution, always be sure to get your subject's permission before quoting or identifying them in any way. And if in any doubt at all, no matter what they say, that identifying them might put them in trouble of some kind, just don't do it. No story is worth getting somebody killed or detained for. Number 5, learn the language if you can. That might not be possible or practical for some countries where the language isn't widely spoken or widely available, but if you're going to a major region with a major language, where a major language is spoken, then just learn at least some proficiency in that language. Finally, number 6, get some hostile environment training if you're going to a war zone or trouble spot. It will help to prepare you mentally and physically for the potential for traumatic events. This can be very expensive, but there are organizations such as the CPJ and the IWMF that offer free courses. And then finally, my last piece of advice is don't listen to the doomsayers. Journalism isn't dying. It is changing and shifting, but it's also creating new opportunities. The world is always going to need storytellers. It's always going to need witnesses, and that means it's always going to need journalists. Good luck with it out there. It is the best job in the world.